Welcome to More Than Miles, the podcast where we use storytelling and expert interviews to widen the lens on what it means to be a happy and healthy endurance athlete. We believe that athletes are so much more than their body, sport, and training miles. I'm Dr. Mihevc Edwards.
And I'm Dr. Kacy Seynders. We are endurance athletes, physical therapists, and huge coffee addicts. We spend most of our time treating, educating, and working with endurance athletes. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Now let's get to the show.
Welcome to More Than Miles. Today we have Liz Northern on the show. Liz is an accomplished runner. She placed 6th at the World 50K Championship in 2019, was the USATF 50K National Champion in 2019, 100K National Champion in 2021, and has even held the Guinness World Record for 10K while pushing a double stroller. She lives in Fort Worth, Texas with her husband and children, and is currently training for the IAU World 100K Championships being held in Berlin this August, and she'll be part of Team USA there.
Kate and I really loved getting to know Liz as a person, as a runner, as a mother. She's just such a delight, and we have a lot of good tips for not only balancing running and being a mother, but also just trying to keep the fun in running. We talk all about her world record that she set with her double stroller. We talk about her kids, and we talk about the allure of the longer distance as she keeps progressing up in distance and finding some really great success. Liz, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm just sitting here in my bathroom in the quiet, ready to talk.
Oh, you left that out that you were actually in the bathroom. That's really funny.
Yep. You gotta find a quiet space when you can.
That's right. Well, especially with 2 kiddos and, like you said, construction in your house, the bathroom probably is the perfect space.
Yep. No one's going to bother me here.
I wonder how many podcasts are recorded in the bathroom, actually. That would be a good poll to do.
Yeah. Or closet. Yeah. Yeah.
Couples Hours is a recording studio, clearly.
Yes, of course. All right. Well, we wanted to start and kind of just jump right in and start talking about your background and your background with sports and running and athletic background. We always like to start with that with our guests so that we can kind of set the stage for everything else to come. So will you tell us a little bit about your athletic background and when you really discovered running?
Sure. So I was born and raised in Fort Worth, Texas, and my first road race, I was 4 years old, and we did the Komen Race for the Cure. My mom and I did. It was a 1 mile or 1K, and that became kind of an annual thing that we did. But I grew up dancing. That was ballet and tap and jazz. That was my forte for about 16 years I did. That was pretty much it. And my junior year of high school, I landed really poorly and ended up tearing like all the things in my knee. It was doing a jump in a jazz progression class. So I ended up having pretty major surgery as a 16-year-old, which looking back, I realized I had my youth on my side, and I've been able to do some pretty great things after that surgery. And, at the time I thought it was awful and my life was over, and I was very dramatic about it, like most teenagers, but it couldn't have happened. If it were to happen, it happened at a great time. And so after that surgery, I lost a lot of muscle, lost a lot of confidence. And so I started running as like a way to kind of get back into shape. And I would go on a 30-minute jog around my neighborhood, and then I would go stretch in my living room for another hour, trying to get my flexibility back, my strength back. And then I just kind of went from there. I decided to walk onto the cross country team in my high school, and I was awful, but I had a lot of fun. And I think that was a good seed to plant at that age, was just to have fun with the sport. And then when I went on to college, I just enjoyed running. And so I was running around campus at Trinity University in San Antonio and during NSO and running around, and the cross country team saw me and they're like, "Hey, do you want to join the cross country team. So I did. I walked on to the Trinity cross country team the first week of school. So it's funny how when you kind of just go with the flow and where things take you. And I ended up having the best college experience running Division III. I went from, a 19-minute 5K down to the 17s within a couple years. And I really excelled. It's funny, the coach there, her name is Coach Brewer. She, when I was 18, could even tell on long run days, she said, "You're going to do really well at the marathon one day." And I'm like, "You're crazy. I don't want to do that." But she could just tell, like, I had that mental piece to that, it's mostly in your head. If you can get in that headspace, you can do anything. So anyways, I finished college and was that early 20s, we all kind of flounder for a bit after college. So I went to grad school, didn't know what I wanted to do, and eventually ended up back in Fort Worth. And my running has just kind of excelled from there. Dove into the marathon, the half marathon. It just kind of, I've gotten faster since college, since I've figured out, my rhythm of the day, my job, how to balance time with kids and finding a good accountability system. My distances have just gone up from there. So now I'm training I have 100K in 3 weeks that I'm doing. The pandemic has also just made a lot of people do some crazy things. And for me, it's been upping the distance. So there you go, in a nutshell.
No, we love it. We actually got to talk to Coach Brewer. She was on our podcast not that long ago.
The Title IX one.
Yeah,
right?
It was really good. She's great. We loved her.
Yeah, she's awesome.
She's wonderful.
Yeah.
She was, even after college, I ran with her quite a bit when I was living in San Antonio during my flounder period where I didn't know what to do with myself. But she's wonderful.
Yeah, she really was. I loved what you said about balance and finding your rhythm and kind of how your running has excelled as you figured out what that looks like. And I think a lot of athletes, whether they are in high school, college, elite, or just weekend warriors, they struggle with that kind of idea of balance and knowing, how to go out and do what they want to do, but then also live in the world.
Yeah.
And I would love to hear kind of how you figured that out for yourself and what that looks like for you.
I kind of split things before kids and after kids. The one unifying thing is finding accountability partners to help wake you up in the morning, and also living in Texas in the summer. The only way that I can find that time and find the balance to make it all balance is to get it done in the morning. And so when you have someone to wake you up in the morning and meet you, even if y'all are doing completely different workouts on the track, just having a warm body there makes all the difference. But for me now, after kids, that balance comes in where my afternoons are just for family. And so I hardly do any doubles anymore. Well, right now I'm kind of doing them to prep for this 100K, but most of the time it's like, if I do it in the morning, then I have the afternoon and evening for my family. But if I don't do it in the morning, I don't worry about it. So that's the big change. The mental change is I don't get hung up on if I miss a workout. I'm like, whatever, I can rearrange things later in the week. If anything, that means that my body is tired and I needed the rest, and that's going to make me stronger further on. So that is also key to balance, is letting things go. Rest is very important.
Resting is so important. And I think it's one of the things that we all forget about, the rest and letting go. Like, I think I'm just going to take that clip and repeat it over and over later.
It's easier said than done, but at the same time, I've seen the benefits so much more now and I'm not in my 20s anymore, and it just takes longer to recover. And so that's, what is the term? Quality over quantity. So my quality miles are higher, but my quantity may not be as high.
I think it takes a certain amount of experience to get there too. I feel like I'm starting to be able to let things go. I'm on the precipice of being actually wise with my running, which is really exciting. But
yeah.
it takes some time to get there. It is easier said than done. And I've always wondered I think a lot of it's like just the type A personality and just wanting to do what's on the schedule. But I mean, you got to let it go.
Yeah. And seeing my kids pick up on certain activities that I do, like they know like, oh, mom's running right now. But if they saw me stressing about it and trying to squeeze it in the afternoon, I don't want them to feel not important. But I want them to know that hard work pays off. So they see it in the increments that I want them to see it, like in the mornings, but I don't want to miss out on their big things. And I want them to know that they're my priority as well. Like they're my main priority.
Yeah.
They're just little for a little time. And I keep reminding myself of that.
That's the truth. I was telling Kacy before the podcast, I have an 8-year-old and he's been wanting to work for us for a really long time. I don't know why, but he's got it in his head that he wants a job. And so he wanted me to interview him. So I did. And we asked the questions. And then he said, did I get the job? And I said, you have to have a trial period. So he didn't have school today yet. And I had to go to treat patients. So he came to work and he worked at the front desk. And I'll never forget it. It's so cute. You never get it back, the young part, when they're this little and they're really cute. So,
yeah.
So what has your experience been being a mom and a competitive runner? How does that work together? And what have you learned, or what's some advice you could give other moms who are trying to do some of the things you're doing?
My children are both complete angels, and we were not trying for children, and they happened. So the 2016 Olympic trials in LA, that was February 13th. And then my body knew, okay, the race is done. And so my cycle came, and that was the last one I had. And then we got pregnant right after the Olympic trials. So that was 2016. She was born in November. And then my son, we found out about my son when my daughter was 16 weeks old. So we have Irish twins. They were both not planned, and they're complete, just the best surprises on the planet. And now, as I'm a little bit older, my husband's, he's closer to 40, and we've been trying for more children and without success. So it's made me really, really appreciative of just we have these, it's crazy. They just happened. And so I'm so grateful for them, and to see the running things that I've been able to accomplish with them. I wish I had kept a track of how many miles I've done with them in the stroller. I still have it. They're outgrowing it, and I'm not ready to give it up because it's so convenient, especially when my husband's traveling. I'll just stick them in the stroller. We'll go, to a playground, and, I'll get in my extra 3 miles or whatever. But when I look back on that first year with my son, when they were both when Petty was 1-year-old and I had an infant, running was my outlet to get back to kind of find myself again. I tried being a stay-at-home mom for a bit, and it was not a good fit for me. And I applaud all the stay-at-home parents. Y'all are amazing. And I wish I had that in me, because I have a very romantic idea of it, but it's so hard. So, but I'm glad I tried it. And going back to work was probably the thing that brought more structure to the day, which helped really focus in on the running. So I knew we had to get to daycare by a certain time, and work was this time to this time. And so, yes, that structure really helped. So if that is one thing that I could tell new moms when they're ready to get back into running, is to try to build some kind of schedule and stick to it. So then you can work around pumping and naps or whatever, have some predictability to it, and then communicate that with your partner. And if you can find a group of people to meet up with. I have this team, Forward Distance Project, and I don't know what I would have done without them, when we're waking up at the 4:00 hour and whatever to get the work in, and meeting somebody, it just makes all the difference. So I guess that's it. My two big things is the schedule, and then to have an accountability system, but also with the schedule to know that, sometimes things happen and you're going to have to rearrange, but it's not the end of the world. It's not, things are in perspective with kids. You get really bad sleep sometimes, and you dig your hole deeper and deeper and deeper when you get really bad sleep over and over and over again. So rest is important.
Yeah, you do. And I'm going to ask one more thing about the kids because, well, first of all, I'd like to say I did not get rid of my running stroller for a very long time because I just loved it so much. You're not alone, my friend.
Awesome.
And it was the most expensive thing I got on my registry, and it was the only thing I wanted. I didn't care about anything else. But secondly, we have to bring up the Guinness Book of World Records, even though it was for a short time. Yeah. But can you tell us about that real quick?
Sure. So I was working with this coach and leading up to the 2020 trials, and I had a lot of like really crazy ideas that I told him. I was like, I want to, I'm kind of interested in going for this Guinness record for the 10K with the double stroller. He was like, whatever, Liz, sure. Let's see if we can do this. And I loved how he just rolled with it. And I found a race in Fort Worth in June. It was so hot. That was one thing, but it had a lot of straightaways. So for y'all that push strollers, the turn makes you slow down. So it had a lot of straightaways, which was important. And I had a short window of time that I knew before the kids got too big, where they were just going to be too heavy, and when they would just be like ready to get out of the stroller. So even the 40 minutes that I was pushing them was like stretching it a little bit. Like they were ready to just get the heck out of the stroller. But the whole Guinness process is long and convoluted. Like there's an application, you have to be accepted. There's a ton of documentation, video, witness statements. And yeah, just know that any Guinness record that you see has like 6 months of work that goes into it. And so when I finally got the official document, it was like 3 months after the fact. It was very anticlimactic, but we still have it. And it's framed and it's special. And now the record has been completely obliterated, which I applaud that woman so much. She was in Europe somewhere and I saw her picture. I was like, you look legit. So she like completely destroyed it. And I don't think anybody's going to touch that for a while.
Oh, that's
but it was
awesome.
Fun.
That's
I had all
really
the snacks.
Cool.
Yeah. Just a lot of snacks, had music going. And well, this is another trick that I learned. If your kids like Daniel Tiger, those kind of things, they would listen to it on the radio, meaning I would have my phone in the cup holder and they could listen to Daniel Tiger while we were running, but they weren't watching it. So we had a lot of that.
I love that.
Wait, how did you train for this world record? Like, did you do speed work with the double stroller? Did you just do normal speed work? Like, tell me about the training process.
Yes. So I had my own training, and then my training with the stroller was mainly like 4 miles max. And we live in Fort Worth. We have this Trinity Trail system. And so we would go down to the river and I would do 2 miles at a pickup pace. Just anything under 7-minute pace, I'd be happy with. And we'd go out and we'd turn around and then that'd be it. That was all I did. I was very communicative with the race director of the race so that she knew what was going on. So I could be like at the front and not have to weave around a bunch of people. So that was key also. You just got to get really comfortable with your stroller and know how to maneuver it. And they're all different.
The kids had to train too for endurance and stamina of sitting in the stroller. I don't know. I might have just filled the stroller with melons or something and then went out to the track.
See, that's a good idea. I wonder if I'm sure there are people that do that just train with, instead of having the kid sitting there, just have a weight. That's not a bad idea. But the stroller was given to me by a friend of mine who he's run like sub 17-minute 5Ks pushing his boys in the stroller. So it's a lucky stroller. I wish it had an odometer so we could just see how many miles this thing has endured. And it's lucky. It's great. Bob, it's a Bob. So there's a plug for Bob stroller.
Maybe we can get them to sponsor us now.
Yes.
I used one too. Like I said, that was my favorite.
Yep. Good times with the stroller. Gonna miss it. Never. Yeah.
You just keep it for sentimental value for a while.
Yeah. Yep.
So the other thing I want to know about, Liz, is the Fort Worth Distance Project, because you started that on your own. You needed accountability buddies. So I kind of want to hear the story of that, and where did it start? Where is it today? All of that good stuff.
Yes. So back in 2017, 2018, it was around the time my son was born. There's just a few of us that were realizing, we're all kind of training for the same goal. We all wanted to go to the 2020 Olympic trials and for the marathon. And we're all working. We're like, let's just try to coordinate something where we can come together and hold each other accountable. And if we make something formal, we could get some attention, like we can work with the area store to get some kind of partnership with them. And so we formed a relationship with the Fort Worth Running Company. And so I call it we're partners with them. And so we do post for them, and it's a very neat relationship. And our team has grown we maxed out at 16. That is like our sweet 16. That is our max. But right now we're about 12. It's all over the place with specialties. So some people are more geared towards the shorter distances now. And then there's some that are like me that are going off in the 100Ks. And there's some that are more triathletes. But it's just great to have, we use GroupMe as our little communication tool. And every day someone's posting like, hey, I'm going to meet at TCU track at 5. And then, everybody's like, okay, I'll be there. And we all do our own thing. And it's just a great support system. And so when people apply, I go through, we do have standards, and they're age graded, because now, a lot of us are heading into the master's category. And so that's kind of a new exciting world that we're getting into. And it's very inspiring to see these women who didn't start running into their 40s and are, breaking 250 in the marathon. And it's great. It's been really neat to see it grow and to see women's confidence come in. And then when we get younger applicants come in, they can, it's a mentorship kind of role. It's kept me feeling young, talking to some of our younger crew, thinking back to my 20s, how life was crazy then. But it's fun. Great group of women.
It looked great. I was reading about it, and I know Kacy was too. And I thought it's such a good idea. And it's a great way, like you said, to hold each other accountable and have fun doing it. Because that's one of the things I love most about running was, being with my people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What is it? Iron sharpens iron. And I think when we get people who are directly out of college and to reshape the mindset, we're competitive, but it's friendly competition. I think we don't ever lose that, ooh, okay, I'm in here to win it. But we're all working towards the same goal at the end of the day. And so my friend's win is my win, and my win is her win. And it's, that reshaping that mindset for some of our younger crew. And it's important. Yeah. And it helps with burnout. Then you're like, okay, this is not the end all be all if I don't hit my goal, but working towards it.
Yeah. That camaraderie is great. And it's so important, especially early in the morning. I'm an early morning runner myself, and I usually do run alone. But yesterday I was running on the Beltline, which is one of the paths that is kind of flat in Atlanta. Atlanta is very hilly. And
oh, yes.
I want to talk about the trials too, because I want to hear your take on that lovely course we made for you guys. But anyway, I was running on the Beltline, and I hear a voice from behind me, and she's like, hey, are you doing a workout? And I turn around, and it was one of my friends that I know. I'm like, no, I'm just running. And so we got to run together for a few miles, and at 5:15 in the morning, that just makes all the difference.
Yeah. And we've had some weird incidences happen on the Trinity trails. And so just from a safety factor, it's been so important. I try not to run by myself in certain parts of town, ever by myself. And then recently we had a self-defense class that we just put on for we invited some neighbors also, but simple things like if someone were to, grabbing a ponytail, like how to get out of that kind of situation, which is scary to think about, that we need to prepare ourselves for that. But there's just been one too many close calls in Fort Worth on the trails we need to be responsible and educate ourselves on how to handle these things. And so that is the other part about the team, is safety for sure.
We honestly just did a podcast about safety in running because we've been reading about it so often. Yeah. And I think it's great that you're doing that you did the self-defense class, because it's really scary. It can be really scary out there. Yeah. But we had a ton of fun in the class. It was hands-on. And one of my big takeaways is when you add voice to your movement. So, if you're shoving, and if you make a noise, like your power is just so much stronger when you are audible. Like with tennis players, when they hit the ball, like that's why they yell. It's like, be loud, be very loud. If anything were to happen, be very loud, very vocal. Do you have any other tips you want to share? Just don't run with ear pods, like, ever. They have those little sticks that you can run with you can just stick in your pocket. They're just little things that you got to be aware of your surroundings. We've had some incidences with dogs too, and those are more unpredictable. But the thing with dogs is just to be loud and big and get up a tree if you can. Honestly, they're scary. Yeah, I'm pro leash dog all the time in public areas. They're unpredictable. Speaking of, my unpredictable dogs are tackling each other in the background right now. So
yeah, I saw make a cameo there.
That's cute. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the Olympic trials. I know this is one of the things that both Kacy and I wanted to hear about. And so you've done 2 Olympic marathon trials in 2016 and 2020. And you talked to us a little bit about your experience, both in 2016 and then again in 2020.
Sure. So 2016, I think what was neat about that experience was it was humbling. That one I feel like 2016 was harder than 2020 because it was just so dang hot.
It was so hot.
It was so hot. And that course, the only shaded part, you ran under I-10 a number of times, and it's, a 20-lane highway. And so I remember at the pre-race meeting, they had said, if you're going to drop out at the start finish area. But like everybody was dropping out under the bridge because it was the only shaded part of the run. So, and it was about a mile from the start finish area, if I remember. But my first half of that race was great. And then I just kind of reserved that this was not going to be a stellar performance day, but I finished it. I made sure I finished it and smiled the whole way. There were 2 really fun things from that race. My husband had surprised me and printed a huge poster of my dog's face. It surprised me. And so he was at the curve. So that course you went out and you curved and you went back by the start finish area. And they like pulled it out right at the first time you ran by. And I was like, oh, what? There's this huge photo of our corgi just doing her like I'm the dumbest dog face. It was so great. But she's a 20-pound corgi and she's a nut. She's now 7.5 and is like the best dog on the planet. The other fun story. So I told my dad that, if the front runner is by him or herself, when they're coming to the finish, like you can hand them a flag to like cross the finish line with. So my dad, in all the photos of Mihevc crossing the finish line, my dad handed him that American flag.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that.
Yes. That flag is from Party Warehouse in Fort Worth, Texas. And he was so excited. Like, I think that was the first thing he told me when I got done was, I gave Meb the flag. Like, that's awesome.
You put him on a mission, Liz. He was like, I'm going to do this.
Yes. And so anyways, we had a lot of fun in LA. And then in 2020, it was just a completely different race, like not even knowing I could ever get back into shape after kids. And there was just so many more women at that one also, because I think there were like 150 that competed in 2016. And then, there was close to 400 something in 2020.
High 400s.
Yeah, 450. So I went in, I think my bib number was in the high 300s. And so I was like, okay, Liz, maybe let's shoot for top half. And I had the race of my life. I had so much fun. I ended up finishing 73rd and had a faster time than what I came in with. I didn't mind the hills that much. They kind of broke things up. And after the first lap, I had found my friend Rena, who is from DFW also. And we just shoulder to shoulder, we just ran by each other and had a great last 16 miles. And she took off. She had a really great race also. One of my memories from that race, because it was very windy as well.
So cold, so windy. Yes.
It felt fine running. But the wind was like, oh, there's the wind. It was like a tunnel, but there's one point we're running down the main drag and up ahead, we could see like a dust devil of just the wind had made this huge, 3 or 4 story tall dust devil of like trash and dirt and leaves. And Rena and I were like, well, okay, here we go. We're going into it. We just had to go right through this little twister. And you got to laugh about it. Exactly. Anyways, that was fun. And my kids were there and my brother and his family were there and my parents and my mother-in-law. It was great. It was a lot of fun. So I had the best experience in Atlanta. So much fun.
Yeah.
If I could do that. I didn't want the race to end. I remember talking to somebody at the end. I found my coach and I was like, it's over. What am I supposed to do now? Like, that was so much fun. I want to go run again. The post-race blues hit me real hard that time. And then of course the pandemic happened. So what a different world. It's amazing that we even got to do that.
Yeah, it was very close. I've watched that race actually several times, the broadcast on TV, because I don't know, I find it inspiring. It was a really good race to watch. And it cuts in and out of like a president announcement about COVID. And like,
yes,
it takes you back into a place in time where you're like, we didn't know what was happening. And like, everyone's like, oh, we know there's
it's over in China. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's over in China, it's fine. So yeah, we were very lucky because it was, a week and a half later and everything.
Yeah. The world shut crazy. Down. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow. Also that year, in 2019, I got to go to Romania with my kids and my mom and dad for the World 50K Championships. And looking back, I'm so glad we were able to take that trip too before everything changed in the world.
How did you like Romania? I've been there and I loved it.
Mm-hmm. It was great. It was very kid friendly. I mean, my kids were 1 and 2 at the time. And so the race was in Brasov, which is in Transylvania. The Transylvania part. And so we went to Castle Braun, the Dracula's castle. And so it was a 50K. It was a 5K and then 5 9Ks, 1 5K, 5 9Ks. And so on the 9K loop, you would come back to the start finish area and that's where your table was with all your stuff. And my kids were there. So I remember finishing, it was around 10:30 and I crossed the finish line and I see my daughter and she's like, Mommy, we are going to go on the carousel. Like, okay, let's just go do that. So I have a photo of us. I'm in my kit. I'm in my shoes and I climbed up on this carousel with her and I couldn't get off because I could, my legs were just frozen at that point. And so I remember trying to get off the carousel, but she was like, great, you're done. Let's go on with the day. Carousel time.
No big deal. You just ran a 50K.
Yeah. That was a great experience. It was very well organized and the team was great. I made some really good friends, and it's fun to have some of them back on this 100K team now too. So we're all getting ready to go to Germany in 3 weeks together. Yay.
Yay. So that kind of leads us to one of our questions. And why the 100K? So, you said you had post-race blues after the marathon. So I'm wondering if that has something to do with it. But go ahead and talk to us a little bit about why the 100K and about your training.
Yeah. So last summer in 2021, we were supposed to go to Taipei for Halloween for the 50K championships. There was another 50K. And so because I finished top 10 in 2019, I had an automatic spot. And then I had done another 50K in January last year that I had a really great time. So I was like ready to go to Taiwan and have a great Halloween time. The kids were going to come and it was going to be great. And then it got canceled. And so at that point, I was like, well, I'm already training. Let's find another race in October. And it happened to be the USA Track and Field Championships for the 100K. I was like, well, why not? Why not? And so I signed up, and it was one of these fluke. I mean, there's climate change, whatever. It was like 95 degrees during this race, and only a handful of people finished it actually. But I won, and I had a time that was underneath the qualifying time to make the American team. So here I am. I'm like, well, okay, I guess I'm going to do it again. But I remember at the finish there, I told my husband, I was like, I'm never doing this again. That was awful. It was so lonely. I think it's because it was lonely. I was by myself for 6 hours, pretty much running a 10K loop 10 times. And it was hot, but I learned a lot about heat management there. And yeah, I think that was the hardest thing. And then now with the summer training here, it's been very humbling, a lot of effort-based runs, staying hydrated, but the heat, you just got to keep your body cool. And so do a lot of stuffing bags of ice in my bra and having a cooler, like doing a lot of loops so I can like go and get the ice or whatever it is to keep cool. Because once you get hot and you start to get the goosebumps and the shivers and all of that, you're like done. Like you can't really recover from that very well. So you got to keep ahead of it. I'm sure people have realized that this summer. It's just been so hot everywhere, but it's looking like it's going to be warm in Berlin. So I'm hoping all of this training is going to be to my benefit with the race. Here's to hopeful thinking.
Yeah. I think it's kind of interesting that you just decided to go to do 100K and then you just happen to make the American team, the US team. And now you're just like, oh, okay, I think I'll do it again.
Yeah. It's like I said, the pandemic has made people do crazy things. And for me, it's just decided to run longer. But I guess I have a knack for it. So that got that going for me. But it is 99.9% mental. When in 2020, I did a 6-hour run. I really wanted to hit 50 miles, but this challenge was in August and I made it 48.8 miles. And I was like, I'm done. I'm not going to hit 50. That's fine when 6 hours hit. But I had some friends who were pretty big. They only do ultras. They do 100-milers out in the trails. So they're out there 24 plus hours. And the one thing they were like, Liz, you just got to keep going. Even if you're walking, once you stop, you're done. You just got to keep moving forward. And so that is my mantra with all of this training. I'm like, even if I slow down, just keep moving forward, because after every low, you're going to get back up. And when you get that high, you got to really ride the high. Ride that high as long as you can. It is like a Odyssey journey, each of these. And I think that's kind of exciting going into this 100K, that it's anybody's race, depending upon the weather, nutrition. I mean, if you just eat one wrong thing, it's going to totally mess up the whole last 4 hours of your race. 4 hours. Ugh, so long. But
anything can happen over 100K, that's for sure.
Anything can happen. Yes, exactly. So that's kind of exciting. There you go. So maybe y'all can go test one out one day.
Well, I'm trying to see what I can do in the marathon here. I don't know if I'll ever want to run more than a marathon. We'll see.
50K is not much farther.
Yeah, I mean, what's five more miles?
5 more miles. Yeah.
No big deal.
No big deal.
I have a lot of friends who are really good trail runners, and my ankles are far too fragile for trail running, unfortunately.
Same. Yeah. No, I hear you there.
Yeah. And I don't really want to take care of you after a 50K on the trails. I love you, but that could be really rough.
Yeah, you'd be the one to do it too, Kate. You know.
I know.
Oh.
Is that what you like about the longer distances? That it's kind of like this odyssey, this journey, or was it just a new challenge? Like, what would you say the allure of the longer distances for you?
I've kind of reserved that. I am not likely going to ever get this new Olympic standard for the trial standard. The
very fast.
Yes. But that doesn't mean I don't have to go for it. I can always try. The 100K and even the 50K, there's just Des Linden did the 50K and had the record. I think it was just kind of seeing that there's more distances out there than just the marathon. I was talking with some of my friends from grad school the other day and about motivation and what gets you out of bed, at 3 a.m. to go run 35 miles on a Saturday morning. And, it was like, well, maybe there's some smaller USA track and field circuit distances. Like there's like the 15K, there's the 6K, there's the 8K. They have all these other races besides the marathon, and it diversifies your training. So there's a whole bunch of different workouts. So you're not just doing mile repeats or 800s or whatever, because that does get really, really, really old. It's been difficult. Like it hasn't been easy, but it's just been a different hard. It's not like I'm killing myself over speed. Now it's the mental challenge is so much, it's amped up a level. It's been fun going for a different goal. It took me forever to finally break, 1:16 in the half. And like, I feel like once I finally got that, I was like, well, I don't think I'm going to get much faster than this. So let's see what else. So yeah, it's been neat doing other things besides the half and the full.
Yeah. I mean, before we move on from that question, I want to say that they've moved the bar for the marathon trials, but I really think that a lot of women are still going to hit it. Like you move the bar and like the bar becomes, the goal, and, we can put our mind to any of that. So should you want to go after the new OTQ, I think you should.
Yeah. And I know I have a couple more years. And all these like super shoes out there now, like, those shoes have just completely changed the whole running environment. Not just to give credit to human capability, but the shoes have definitely done something as well.
Oh, they have. I mean, we've seen, we've done gait videos of people in the carbon plate shoes and then without them. And even the running form looks better. Form looks better. Everything's smoother. And we all know that the time changes. It just improves the spring so much. So it is really interesting. There are a lot of athletes now that are, masters athletes. And I never really realized until I crept up into the category that a master's athlete was 35 years old and older.
Yeah. Well, for some races it's 40, but for this race in Berlin, it's also 35 as masters.
Yeah. But there are a lot of people out there that are, like you, getting better and better as they get older. And I do think it has something to do with that mental component and structure and understanding who you are as an athlete more than just pushing your body to the brink every single day.
Yeah. Because that does end up wearing on you a lot. It is quite the journey. I just did this 35 miler on Saturday, and I had people kind of hop in throughout the run, but there was a point with like 9 left where I just told my friend who I was with, I was like, you know what? I think I need to take these last bit by myself and just get ready for this part of the race where I'm tired and I'm in kind of my negative space and I just need to zone out. And there are some running friends that I love that I can just run in silence with them. And I love that about them. I was not ready to have any more conversations at that point in the run because my one friend who I'm silent with had already finished. I was like, where is she? I need my silent friend, my shoulder buddy. We all have those people though. You know what I'm talking about? That you're very comfortable with silence and you're like, thank you. You're exactly what I needed today. But at that point in the run, I just needed some alone time. Yeah.
Sometimes you do. And that was for your 35th birthday, right?
Yes. Yeah. 35 miles on my 35th birthday.
I did.
Why not? Why not?
I did 25 for my 25th and it was fun, but I don't know if I would do it again.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Well, you're doing a marathon, so you're going to go over that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm 30 now, so I would have to run over 30 miles if I did my age because, I'm getting so old.
Oh boy, here we go. Both of you just enough. How does this come up every podcast? Every podcast, something about
I know it gets on your nerves.
That's funny.
She's just taunting me a little bit.
That's funny. That's funny.
Well, Liz, this has been really fun. This has been really fun to get to know you and hear your story and hear some of your advice and knowledge about training. And so thank you so much for coming today.
Well, thanks for having me. Keep on doing what you're doing and give yourself a lot of grace because this world is so crazy right now with the last thing we need to do is get hung up on a run and just keep it fun. And there's that whole mentality change of, oh, I have to run into, oh, I get to run. Yes, I get to run today. So keep that fuel and that fire alive there. Let's keep you going.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love that. Good luck with the rest of your 100K training. Good luck in Berlin. We'll be following along.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm excited.
Yeah, we can't wait to see. Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope that it resonated with you and that you learned something. If you enjoyed this podcast, please rate and leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts. It really helps increase our visibility within the platform so that more awesome people like you can find us.
If you'd like to support us further, pretty please, you can visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/morethanmiles. That's www.patreon.com/morethanmiles. Or for a few dollars, you can help the show grow and keep going, as well as receive exclusive perks like monthly Q&As with us. Until next time, remember to run the mile you're in, and that training is so much more than miles.